Hello, Janice King here from Tarot Reading London. It is October 2022. I'm sorry I'm a little bit late this month. Circumstances beyond my control, unfortunately. So, as is my practice though, we've still got lots of time left in the month. I'm going to tell you about the 4 cards that I have drawn to help guide us through the energies of the month ahead. So let's have a look. So we have quite a continuation again from last month's energy, and I quite like it when that happens, right? It's interesting to see how the energy is moving, and I think we're very much in a continuation mode. So the first card I drew was the 5 of Wands, and that is the overarching energy that we can experience in the month ahead. So the 5 of Wands is all about challenge and conflict. So it might well be that you are feeling conflicted about something. It can feel as though we're fighting ourselves. As we can see here on this card, we've got these 2 samurai warriors looking exactly the same. They are the different parts of us which are in battle with each other. So when we're in conflict with ourselves, it can be very, very difficult to move forward. And normally what that means is that there are decisions that we can't make because we may want this or we may want that, because there are 2 parts of us that want different things, and so it becomes almost impossible for us to make a decision or for us to even really know what it is we want, because we want different stuff all in the same body, and it's tricky. It can also be that you are also in conflict with somebody else. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that you're in a row or like you're in conflict, as it were, fighting. But what it means is that you may have a different agenda than somebody else. So that person again may want something, you want this other thing, and basically never the twain shall meet. So when this happens, it is really, really tricky to find a way forward. And trying to read the situation is hard because we're very bound up in our own perspective and our own agenda. There are also, lose-lose feelings here, like, well, I'm going to have to make a decision that I don't want to make, or choose a choice that I don't want to choose, because basically, I have to try and bring myself into alignment with things in some way, or I'm going to end up just keep getting stuck. Now, it was interesting, last month there was this real call to speak your truth and to not shy away from altercations with other people. And here it looks like we're still in a situation where things haven't been resolved. So if this month you are feeling that, you're feeling that there is just all this unresolved stuff, we are being asked to engage with it, but engage with it in the right way. So let's have a look. So how are we going to move forward? So what should we embrace? The Ace of Swords. The Ace of Swords in tarot is an invitation to think differently about a situation. It's asking us to use our head, not our emotions, and not our urge, right? So it's asking us to really show up with a very, very clear-sighted view of exactly what the problem is. Now that can be more easier said than done, right? Because often we have a load of stories in play around whatever this situation is. We have shoulds and shouldn'ts, and they should, and I want this, and they should do this. And we've got all of this stuff in play that basically kind of hog ties us. Now, if we look at the card, we can see that we have a seed here, and point down into the seed is a sword, and the Ace of Swords gives us a single sword. It is a single thought about the truth. What do I want? What is the problem? The actual problem. Because we want to solve the problem. We want to solve this conflict and get out of this situation. And we can see that the sword is pointing down into the seed, and it's going to go down into the root of the problem, and it wants to cut through the weeds that are growing up around it. Because this stuff is growing out of the source of the problem. So we've got to cut through the chaff and get to the root of what is the actual problem. Let go of any stories. Let go of any stuff and just cut to the chase. And then you'll have an opportunity to think about it differently. To have a different solution maybe. Okay, so that's what it's asking us to embrace. And to use as a tool to cut through this conflict. Now, what should we avoid? And perfectly right on cue arrived the Nine of Swords. Now, the Nine of Swords, as we can see here, is a very unpleasant card. It's a nightmare card. And it tells us that one of the things that's keeping this situation in play is fear. Fear of a nightmare scenario, fear of what we think is what a possible outcome that we don't want to engage in at all. So the Ace of Swords says, drop the stories. Drop all of the stories. Everything that is an imaginary projection, just drop it, because it's not going to help. This is fear, and fear is wonderful at conjuring up all of this stuff, all of this nightmare scenario in the path ahead. It's just fear. It's not real. It's just a movie that we project, and it screws with our head. So we can see on the card this person is waking up. It's the 4 o'clock in the morning moment where all of your fears are coming out to play and going, no, the world's going to go to hell in a handcart, right? It's the worst time, the hour of the wolf. So what we don't want to do is play into that. Whatever the fear is, let it go. And then our message from Spirit around all this is the Emperor. So where's your bottom line? The Emperor is the CEO. He's the boss. Now, he doesn't rule if he's a good CEO. He doesn't rule as a dictator. He doesn't rule with aggression or drama. But what he does is he shows up and he says, well, you know what? We've got to put some structure into this. We've got to get organised. We've got to make plans. We've got to decide. And we've got to decide what we need to do to solve the problem. So it's like he shows up really authoritatively and takes control of your fear, takes control of the other person's fear, so that there is a structure and a framework by which this conflict and agenda can be resolved. So there will be stress in this. So whatever the stress is, whatever is causing you this stress, you've got to draw a line. This is too much now. Stop it now. It has to stop. You have to take control of your own anxiety and the situation. So the Emperor is big on boundaries, right? So it's like, set your boundaries, but set them in a good and healthy way. What we're not looking at doing is ramping up this anymore. Quite the opposite. We want to defuse the situation. So we want to take any stories, any of the conflict, any of the drama, we want to get rid of it all. Just look at exactly what the problem is and what is the best, cleanest, most drama-free solution, and make that decision and stick to it. End of. Okay, so that's what we do this month. We show up and we are very clear about what we do and don't want and what we're going to do about it. So we're not going to be pulled into drama stories. We're not going to be doing any of that. Conflicts this month should be dealt with, because if we don't deal with them, they're just going to get worse in the months ahead. And we can see how this energy is taking a while to blow through, right? It's been hanging around, hasn't it, on the sidelines for at least a month, maybe a little bit more. So it's time, the energy says, the message from Spirit says it's time to get to grips with it. It's time to take control so that we can move on and we can get to a more pleasurable space. So there we go. Cool. That was a bit forthright, wasn't it? So I hope you enjoyed that reading. I hope it's useful to you. And I will obviously be taking it under due advisement myself, because I always do. I find it interesting to look at these readings and see how they apply in my life, as I hope you will in yours. So have a wonderful October. I'm going to be sending a few more newsletters out than I would do normally. I think I'm going to be reaching out and sending you some stuff a little bit more often than I do, maybe twice a month or maybe 3 times a month, because I think it would be useful to keep in more touch than just once a month. But I hope you've enjoyed my little missives, and if you're looking at this on YouTube, please like and subscribe, leave me a comment. It's just lovely to know that there's life out there, and that this is useful and that you enjoy it, because that's why I do it. So all good, and I hope to see you soon. I'm always here for a reading if you need one. In the meantime, enjoy your month, enjoy the autumn leaves, and I will see you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.